Coming to you live from Anaheim. This is another episode of TST&T. We're already here at Angel Stadium, as you can already tell. Oops. There we go. There's the A behind me. And yeah, it's a live atmosphere here at Angel Stadium. Well, this is Major League Ballpark number 9 for this vlog. We're just about 2 years into this thing. We've already hit up our 9th Major League Ballpark. How about that? What incredible speed. Well, we're going to take you around a bit of the area and show you what Angel Stadium is all about. So without further ado, grab a popcorn, grab a beer, sit back, relax, enjoy.
Welcome back to Anaheim. We, of course, were last here back in January of 2025 doing an episode on the Ducks at the Honda Center. Now we'll be on the other side of the freeway to talk about and do an episode on the Ducks' baseball neighbors, the Angels, and Angel Stadium. Without further ado, let's get into the monologue. The Angels as a Major League Baseball franchise began in 1961, but the roots of the franchise go back much further and into the minor leagues. The team name Los Angeles Angels goes back to 1892 when they were founded as a minor league club. If you know a little Spanish, the Angels got their name from the city's name. Los Angeles, of course, means the Angels in Spanish. From 1903 to 1957, just before the Dodgers arrived, the Angels played in the Pacific Coast League, a minor league. When the Dodgers came along, they were displaced and eventually would move to Spokane, Washington. The Major League version of the Angels, however, began as an American League expansion franchise in Los Angeles proper after the singing cowboy himself, Gene Autry, was awarded the franchise. The league gave LA a new franchise as a way to counter the National League, who saw the Giants and Dodgers move to the West Coast. So the American League made an effort to put their footprint there to remain competitive with the National League, and they also wanted to expand to fend off a potential third major league that was known as the Continental League, which didn't end up happening. Autry would buy the rights to the Angels name from Dodgers owner Walter O'Malley, who himself had acquired it from the old LA Angels minor league club, and Autry bought it for $350,000. When the team began, they played their first year at a place called, I kid you not, Wrigley Field. Yup, there was a Wrigley Field in LA, and it was home to the minor league Angels. The ballpark was meant for the minor leagues, though, and didn't have the capability of hosting Major League Ball long-term, unlike that other Wrigley Field in Chicago. As part of the American League expansion franchise agreement for the Major League Angels, they were allowed to use Wrigley Field for their first season while Dodger Stadium was still under construction. After the first year, they would end up sharing Dodger Stadium, or as the Angels would call it, Chavez Ravine Stadium, with the Dodgers, and they'd be roommates for 4 years. During those years, Gene Autry knew his team couldn't live under the shadow of the Dodgers for long. They weren't experiencing any success on the field, unlike their counterparts in blue, and their attendance numbers were absolutely pitiful. Again, unlike their roommates. They eventually had to create their own independent brand and identity, and to do all that, they needed a ballpark that they could call their own. Enter Anaheim. Looking to keep local tourism momentum up after the opening of Disneyland just years earlier, the city of Anaheim offered a ballpark completely funded by them to the Angels. Autry was sold, and it was off to Anaheim. Anaheim was looking to establish itself as not just an entertainment destination, but a pro sports destination in Southern California, leaving LA proper and moving to a rapidly growing suburban city in the LA metro area. This move wasn't just good for the city, but also the team, since it allowed the Angels to establish their own distinct fan base in Orange County. Anaheim Stadium, now Angel Stadium, would be built in a spot with major freeway access, making it very accessible by car, and the ballpark is just minutes away from Disneyland. As soon as the Angels landed in Orange County, they would rebrand from the Los Angeles to the California Angels to reflect their broader regional appeal. For the first decade plus, it was the Angels who ruled the sports scene in Orange County. But then in the later 1970s, Los Angeles Rams owner Carol Rosenblum wanted out of the LA Memorial Coliseum and to move into a more modern venue in a smaller, more intimate venue so the crowds would be better, and to help her team avoid being blacked out on local television. Rosenblum and the Rams would then cut a deal with Anaheim for the NFL team to move into Anaheim Stadium, and that the place would be expanded and transformed to accommodate for football. The Rams also saw Orange County's population continue to grow, and they wanted to strike while the iron was hot, so they made the move. The Big A that had originally supported the scoreboard in left field was moved into the parking lot to serve as a stadium marquee sign, where it remains today. The Rams would play at Anaheim Stadium from 1980 to 1994, and then would eventually leave SoCal entirely for St. Louis for the next 2 decades. We know the Rams are back in LA now, but that's for another episode. Anyway, after the Rams left, Disney, who had been a minority owner in the franchise since its inception, would eventually take majority control after Gene Autry passed away. Disney and the city of Anaheim would eventually cut a deal that made more major renovations to the facility and return this place back to its original role as a baseball-only venue for the Angels, and Disney funded 70% of the project, with the city covering the other 30%. Capacity was bumped down from 65K to about 45.5K, where it remains today. With that deal, the Angels would eventually ditch the California moniker and be called what I prefer to call them, the Anaheim Angels, after signing a new lease with the city that required them to identify themselves with Anaheim. Personally, that's how I remembered them growing up, and it's also the name they had for the 2002 World Series, which, to the date, remains the lone time the Angels went all the way. However, in 2005, 2 years after Artie Moreno bought the team from Disney, he would return the name back to Los Angeles Angels, but with a twist. They'd be called Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I know. Weird name, right? He really wanted Los Angeles back in the Angels' name, primarily for marketing and branding reasons. He wanted to make the Angels a quote-unquote big market franchise by associating with America's second largest market, believing it would attract new fans throughout the SoCal region, as well as new sponsors and thus increase revenue. He, however, ran into legal issues with the city, who demanded he keep the team name the Anaheim Angels as required by the lease. So they would eventually make a compromise to call themselves that, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. However, in 2016, Moreno was able to ditch the word Anaheim completely, and the team went back to their complete original name, the Los Angeles Angels, even though they were still playing in Anaheim. More lease negotiations had taken place years earlier that gave the Angels permission to drop Anaheim from the name, and since then, they've gone by Los Angeles Angels, even though none of their uniforms, signage, or branding features the words Los Angeles. They're often just simply referred to as the Angels around these parts. Anyway, back to Angel Stadium. Because the renovations in the 90s were largely done by Disney, the Angels have been able to play at the city-owned venue rent-free since then. Angel Stadium, which has hosted the team from its beginning, is now 60 years old in 2026, after being originally built in 1966, and has really gotten up there in age. It's the 4th oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball, only trailing some of the most iconic yards, including Dodger Stadium, as well as Wrigley Field, the Chicago version that is, and Fenway Park. The Angels in recent years have been pondering on whether to give the place a massive facelift or to build a completely new ballpark. However, the Angels have been facing pressure from the city to revert their name back to Anaheim Angels. The team in the future might want to stick with their current place and develop the surrounding area, or maybe build a new if they go down that road, but because the city owns the facility and the surrounding area, the Angels are stuck. In short, the city is telling the Angels, change your name back to Anaheim or else you can't do anything with this property. Since that 90s transformation, there hasn't been a ton of change here, and the friction between the city and the team may have played a role in that. In 2022, the Angels were actually close to buying the ballpark and the surrounding land from the city. However, the sale would be voided due to then Anaheim Mayor Harry Sadu being investigated over bribery and corruption allegations. He was accused of providing confidential information to the Angels during sale negotiations to help them get a sweetheart deal. The FBI also said that the mayor allegedly expected $1 million in campaign money from the Angels in return for rushing the sale and getting that sweetheart deal. The scandal forced Sadu to resign, and he would eventually go to prison for it. Sadu pled guilty to obstruction of justice by destroying records about the tainted land sale. Moreno and the Angels were cleared of any wrongdoing. So, Angel Stadium's future at the moment is very up in the air. What will happen? Will the Angels finally start using Anaheim again? Will they give this ballpark a massive renovation or build a completely new ballpark? If they go with a new place, where do they build it? Right next door? There's a lot of land for it, given that similar to Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Angel Stadium is surrounded by parking lots. Or maybe do they build somewhere else in Anaheim or Orange County or anywhere else in SoCal for that matter? These are interesting times for the Halos. Hopefully, we get answers soon.
First person that I actually recognized, I saw a quote that you gave. I think it may have been New York Magazine. I didn't even know you at the time. You said the show's revolutionary. They actually let people come on the show and disagree and talk. And
All right, we're here. We are live from Angel Stadium here in Anaheim. We got here, we got the players, the player faces up there. We got bats. We got these giant hats. It's real cool. And here we have a regulation major league infield. Isn't that cool? You really feel like you are entering a major league ballpark. You love to see it.
What? You don't want to stop.
guys have fun tonight.
Not about right here. Not right here. There's the from the floor.
All right, Angels, let's see how good your hot dog is. Nice, beefy, very easy to chew. Ketchup and relish go great. Wonderful. As good as that Angels double play. 10 out of 10.
There you go. All right, full count. See what happens here. Foul back.
Okay, I'm not sure how you say if it's OGs, Ajis, Ogies, whatever. But they got pizza here, and we are gonna give this thing a shot. The slices don't come off very well. Wow. Hang on. Here we go. That was more difficult than it needed to be, but here we go. Cheesy. I'm more of a thick crust kind of guy, but thin crust, this thin crust, it hits the spot pretty well. I will say 9 out of 10. And a ball game without a beer. So here is the Halo Lights, courtesy of 3X. Not bad. Nothing truly stands out about it, but let's just say it gets the job done. It's decently refreshing. I'll say 7 out of 10. Damn it. That line is long. Didn't realize that Kathy's cookies were that popular. Here's an interesting dessert item you don't see too often. Waffles. These are the s'mores waffles from Walk Off Waffles here at Angel Stadium. Let's try this out. One fell on my lap. All right. Chocolate sauce is pretty good. There we go. Pretty good. I'll say 7.5 out of 10. Bottom of the ninth. Angels still trail 4-3. Mike Trout at bat at first for the Angels. Let's see what he does. Let's see if the Angels can put something together here. All right. 2-1. Nope. No. All right, full count. Go, big Mike. Draw a walk. Let's go. Damn it! Caught up the bat, 2-1 count. and 2. Damn it. Angels down to their final out. Jorge Soler up to bat. He hit a homer earlier. Can he do it again? Let's find out. Geez, 0-2 count. Not great, Bob. No. Oh, jeez. Damn it. Well, that sucks. You'll notice immediately when walking in is the Rally Monkeys. The Angels, I don't believe, have an official mascot, but this is about as close as it gets to one. There's no person inside a monkey costume. You only see it as a stuffed animal like in there or on the big screen. The Rally Monkey has an interesting backstory though. He tends to come out if the Angels are down. It became a major thing after the 2002 World Series. In Game 6 of the series, the Angels were losing the game to the Giants 5-0, and they were also down in the series 3-2. The Halos seemed dead in the water. Then the Rally Monkey came out to fire up the fans, and somehow, some way, the Angels scored 6 unanswered runs in the next 2 innings. And they didn't just win the game, they won the Commissioner's Trophy, and the rest is history.
White Angel sweatshirt was cool.
Going over the Angel City Connect jersey, we have here a salute to Southern California's beach culture. We have here a sand-colored base, and the Angels script is a nod to vintage surf brands with that fishtail end of a surfboard on the S. The numbers are in a font that's a nod to the lifeguard towers. The numbers are in blue for the Pacific Ocean, and the diamond is another surf culture salute. On the sleeve patch, there are palm leaves behind the A, and I also believe this is the first time I've ever seen the words Los Angeles on an Angels branded item. You don't see that very often, but also on the sleeve stripes, the asymmetrical stripes reflect the design of retro surfboards. And down on the jock tag, we've got here a surfboard with the halo. Overall, it's not bad, but personally, I kind of wish this jersey was orange. The Angels hockey neighbors have done an excellent job of embracing Orange County. The Ducks have made orange their primary color, and I believe at least for the Angels City Connects jerseys, they should do the same.
Well, the Angels had it. They had it. And they soiled it, in the words of SpongeBob. Soiled it, soiled it, soiled it. Okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Final score from Angel Stadium. It was the Mets taking this one over the Angels by a score of 4-3. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this episode. If you like what you saw, be sure to give this video a like. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you love sports video content as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching another episode of TSTNT. Signing off from Angel Stadium here in Anaheim. We'll see you next episode. It's a damn shame.